This podcast is brought to you by Salt River Pictures.
Hi, Lloyd. A little slow tonight, isn't it?
Hello there.
I don't remember asking you a goddamn thing.
Stay on target.
Dylan! Son of a bitch.
Welcome to the Salt River Movie Club.
Hello, and welcome back to Salt River Movie Club. That was a lot more jolly than I usually do. Hello!
That was way more jolly than this morning.
That's right. Yes, welcome back to the podcast that is on its third drink of the night and is frankly feeling pretty good right now.
Okay.
Only your third, come on.
Jake's on his third drink. Sean, you got a drink, Sean?
I do. Got some rum and coke.
Oh, I wish I was having that. I've got some cold tea.
Cool. Alex, the old man of the band. Excellent. Yeah, being the youngest.
I know.
Yes, welcome to a chilled out late night bonus episode.
I am not the youngest in the band anymore, Jake.
Oh no, that's true.
Clayton is.
Yeah, that's true.
Way.
You're still the youngest in our eyes.
You're still the youngest. Yes. Welcome to a late night chilled out vibe episode of the Salt River Movie Club.
Did you just dab?
No, I burped. I tried to cover up from the mic. Thank you for drawing attention to it, Sean.
Cover it up with a dab. Blurp.
Oh, God, that's showing our age now.
Yes, this is the Salt River Movie Club. We are three members of the band. Salt River Shakedown. We do blues rock, classic rock, that kind of thing. Alex laughing at me.
I was miming along with you at the end.
I was about to.
That kind of thing.
We are getting t-shirts made up. I'm getting them.
But this podcast is not about that band. This podcast is about movies we like and movies that we don't like. But today's episode is not about a movie at all. Today's episode is another bonus episode on WandaVision by Marvel.
Why is it right that we're called Salt River Movie Club? But I can tell you right now that I think every episode that I remember it started off with, this is a movie club, but today we are not doing that. There's so many episodes where it's just like...
it's fine.
We're a variety club.
Yes. So this is not a regular episode. I was talking about WandaVision because episode 5 came out this week. And it was quite a big deal. It was a big episode.
We definitely...
A lot happened.
If you watched our if you watched the previous episode of our WandaVision podcast, then you will see that we have hinted on some things that may have came true.
We did, yeah. We got a few things right.
Kind of cool.
But first of all, let us introduce ourselves.
Oh yes.
Over here, we have which member of the sword crew are you? You're like you're Darcy. You're the science lady.
Okay. Yes. Okay. I'm with that.
You like coffee, yeah. and you like science. I guess it's our playing the science.
Yeah.
It's Alec McMillan. How you doing?
I'm good. I'm good.
Sorry.
I'm on my 10th cup of tea, so I'm ready to go. I'm buzzing.
Excellent. And over here we have our very own detective Jimmy Woo. He's the nicest man in podcasting.
Oh, I'll take that. Until Dave Grohl starts a podcast.
It is Sean Kilner. How are you, sir?
Hello. I am.
Hello.
Your voice sounded like on.
Hello.
That was great.
I'm currently 4 drinks deep.
And
now the main man of the hour. Which character are you?
Which character am I?
No, we have to decide.
What?
No.
Yeah, no, you don't get to decide.
Okay. Right.
You can be the postman.
The postman. Oh yeah, that's who you are. You're the postman that walks by in that one episode.
Cool, so I'm not even a member of the sword crew.
Of the sword crew. You are
the main man with the plan.
What's the main lassie called? Is it
Monica Rambeau.
Monica Rambeau.
Our very own
I'll
Monica
take that.
Rambeau.
I'll take that.
Jake
So
Duncan.
you guys have heard it here first. I am Rambo.
Yes.
I am Sylvester Stallone.
I am Rambo. Monica Rambeau.
Close enough.
Yeah. So, I about 5 minutes before we started recording this, rewatched this episode.
Oh, did you?
Because there was a lot to take in.
Wait,
and
hang
a lot
on,
happened
hang
in this
on.
one.
You what? Right. I want to know how time and Jake lands work. 5 minutes ago, he rewatched a 40-minute episode. Like everyone.
What do you think? I mean, I finished watching it 5 minutes ago.
I'm just imagining you like with Disney Plus up on your phone, just like skipping through every 10 seconds. Like,
He's watching on like 5 times speed.
I am currently rewatching episode 5 of WandaVision.
Just currently.
Yes, this is the longest episode so far. Every episode so far has been, the first one's like around 20 minutes or so, and every other one's been about around half an hour. This one stretches up to about 40 minutes. Which makes sense because we're now into a period of the show where we're jumping back and forth between the sitcom and the sword crew outside. And I took a lot of notes. I actually took more notes than I've taken for any of the movies that we've watched. Like this is how much is going on in this episode.
Yeah, totally.
What you got for us, Ian?
Yes. So let's start with a little recap of the episode. I'm assuming that you have all caught up with the show so far. If you have not, why are you here? We go over those. Yes, indeed. We went over all that. All the first. God, I can't even speak. We went over.
He's had too much.
Oh God, sorry. I'm trying to bring up the spoiler alarm like while talking.
Oh my God,
it's not working.
Jake, while on a couple of bevs, can he type into YouTube while speaking at the same time?
Shut up! I pressed the wrong video. Oh my God, this is
Bring up
this
Rick
episode
Astley
is chaos.
instead.
Yes, if you have not seen the first 5 episodes of this show, you can do. We've got a theories episode on the first 4 episodes of the show. And now we're getting into episode 5. So
Spoiler territory.
if you've not seen episode 5 yet, here is the spoiler alarm. The spoiler alarm is sounding. This is your one final warning. Spoiler alarm is sounding. Yes. No, that was your warning. That video was actually an hour and 22 minutes long, by the way. I could keep that going forever.
Oh my God.
The whole fucking episode.
Please, no.
So yes. So firstly,
Yes.
we have skipped forward in time in terms of sitcom language and things like that to the 80s. Again, a newer sitcoms I'm not very familiar with, but I'm
Kind
just
of
aware of the style.
I know it's not an 80s thing.
Yeah,
but
I'm
very
the same.
similar style.
Yeah, like Will and Grace and things like that are kind of a bit of a throwback.
The way she looked kind of reminded me of the way the main character, because in House of Bly Manor, the way the kind of 80s, the main character, the way she looks with her hair frizzed up and stuff.
Yeah, that's
It
true.
reminded me, it's that kind of similar vibe.
Yeah.
Interesting.
The hair has all changed. Agnes and Wanda. And Vision. Vision's 80s hair is awful. I hate it.
That is the worst. I know,
It's
terrible.
really bad.
What are you
bad.
doing?
Yes, so we have now, Wanda now has the twins. What are the twins' names again? Tommy and Billy?
Tommy and Billy, yeah.
Tommy and Billy, which of course, if you know the comics, is also the name of her kids in the comics, who eventually grow up to be Speed and Wiccan.
Confirmed. We did it.
Yes, we got that right.
We did get that right. Yep.
However, they don't seem to have those powers in this. In the case of this, the power is in this seems to be they are able to age themselves up.
Yeah, I mean,
freaky.
that we've seen so far anyway.
Yes, yeah, that might not even be a power. That might just be that they're able to manipulate the world like she can.
Yeah, totally.
Which
Yeah,
is also
that's
another
interesting.
theory that we confirmed as well.
She's what, sir?
That's another theory that we confirmed as well. That Wanda is in control of the entire thing.
Yeah, well, yeah. Well, okay, we'll get into that later because I'm still not convinced, if I'm honest. But we'll get into that later.
I'm the same. I'm the same. Nothing's
yeah.
confirmed yet. I don't even think.
No. So now I have the twins who at the start of the episode are babies, and then Wanda quickly discovers that she has seemingly no control over them. They seem to be the only thing in this world that she can't control.
Yeah.
And she even says like, "Why can't I control you?" Which is interesting. Which I think makes me think that they are like very much part of her. Like, should they have the same ability as her to some extent? So, I don't know.
Yeah, this episode touches on a lot of interesting stuff because it shows that what she makes in this world, when it comes out, it is real. Like,
Yes.
so there's a really good bit where Monica Rambeau's character, she's obviously out of the hex now, and she basically has a kind of epiphany, and she goes to they're like doing like experiments on the clothes that she wore. So like she went in wearing basically a bulletproof vest.
Oh yeah, the Kevlar vest.
Yeah. So what Wanda does is she takes whatever goes in and then restructures it to suit the environment, and then when it goes back out, it stays that way, so it is real. It's just altered. So it means that her big 70s jumpsuit or whatever was actually bulletproof, which is really interesting.
It is interesting, yeah. Yeah, I'm still not convinced that she's doing this, but we'll get to that a little
I
bit.
think she's doing it from and kind of what you can see point of view. Do you know what I mean? But there's a lot of stuff going on under the engine.
Yeah.
I think.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, we'll keep going just now.
Do the synopsis first, and then we can discuss theories.
Yeah.
Yes. So they're having trouble, kind of very sitcom setup. They're having trouble getting the kids to stop crying, and that's when she discovers that she can't control them. Agnes appears, as she often does in these situations, and she's like, she's very much there. I kind of thought of it as like she's the sitcom character that progresses the plot. Every sitcom has that, where someone comes in and just provides the thing that moves the plot forward.
Yeah.
And that seems to be her role in this world. She just turns up whenever they need something. And there is a really great moment.
Really creepy. First creepy moment.
She essentially misses a cue. It feels like a blooper almost. And like, she's like, do you want me to take that again? Can you just go from the top? That kind of thing.
Yeah, because basically, so she's trying to get she asks if she can like help to stop the babies from crying to pick them up. And Vision's like, no, I don't think that's a good idea.
Yeah.
And she's like, all right, okay. I wonder, do you want me to do that again? So that, basically. So
Yeah. It's
because the point of the episode apparently is for her to like play with the babies or whatever. But Vision is getting more cognition into getting out of this almost trance that Wanda's keeping him in.
Yeah.
Like it seems like each episode, Vision is getting smarter and smarter.
Yeah.
And as it goes on, he's slowly
Wanda for-
becoming more himself.
Like he's fighting Wanda for control of himself again.
Yeah.
Yeah, definitely, which definitely comes into play later on in the episode. But yeah, I know, I love that. Like even with this, they're committing to the sort of TV language thing of like it's like an actor who've got their line,
Yeah.
and it's
So weird.
fascinating.
Because even Wanda looks startled, is what got me.
Yeah, I think she has a moment of like, I think this is kind of my thing, is that I think she is.
There's points where she isn't in control. Yeah.
Synopsis
no,
first,
she
then
is.
we can discuss theories.
Yeah. Yes. So yes, that happens. I love that there's an effect where the laugh track kind of echoes out when it all falls apart. Like it kind of like the laugh track kind of like sort of reverbs like out, and then it's just silence. Yes. Let me skip ahead. And then if we start switching to seeing the Sword crew outside, Monica Rambeau kind of recovering from her experience in Westview. There is an interesting moment where she has an X-ray, and the X-ray shows up as blank, and that's never addressed again. And I'd forgotten about this.
Is that the X-ray of her, or is it the X-ray of the clothes?
I think it's of her, because
We think.
Yeah, I think you're right. Yeah.
it's like a medical thing. Like she's getting sort of evaluated, and then they're like, we need to do it again, and she's like, no, I don't think so, and kind of shrugs it off. Now that could be a hint to the fact that in the comics, Monica Rambeau has superpowers, where she doesn't seem to in this so far.
Yeah.
Her superpowers that she cuts about in a 70s jumpsuit is bulletproof.
No. If I remember right, in Monica Rambeau at one point was Captain Marvel in the comics. And,
really?
Yeah, and she could travel at like the speed of light or something like that. Yeah.
Wow.
Yes. Then we see a meeting, the Sword meeting, where they reveal that Wanda broke into a Sword facility and stole the corpse of Vision,
That's right.
Yeah.
which
I confirmed.
yes,
Yeah. I think that was
It
Alec confirmed that one.
She's playing puppet.
yeah. It would appear that they are Weekend at Bernie's-ing Vision to some extent. Yeah, and the interesting things about that, like, it's not it like the I think director Hayward, the head sword guy in this, is like
He's in on something.
he's in on something. Like, I don't know if he's maybe Hydra again. It would be a bit insane if Hydra have infiltrated Sword as well.
Yeah.
But I think he's definitely up to something. I think he shows that, and I don't know that footage is doctored, but I think he shows it out of context deliberately to kind of like make them doubt themselves. Because, like,
We'll put it. Sorry, continue.
Anyway, like he doesn't mention if she killed anybody, for example. Like, you know.
Yeah.
Like,
The thing is, did you see what they were doing to Vision? So Vision was in bits.
yeah, he's been like dissected. Yeah.
So do you know what I mean? Was that was it Vision's will for that to happen?
Doesn't seem to be, and considering the fact that, like, we're in 2023 in the timeline now because of the 5-year gap where everyone was dusted. Vision wasn't dusted. Vision was killed before that happened. So they've been, like, experimenting on him for 5 years and, like, doing something with his body. I think basically she's found out they've stolen her husband's corpse and it's just like, no, fuck that, I'm taking it back. You know?
angry.
Yeah, I think it's 100% that. Yeah.
Yeah.
It's not. It's not Wanda definitely isn't doing this with any bad intentions. I don't think. She's just like, she just wants to live a life with her husband, basically, and she's just trying to make that happen. But the thing is, with Vision being a truly good character, resurrecting, like, from his moral judgment, for him to be resurrected just so they can have weird devil babies, I think. And
You're still on the Mephisto theory?
100%. I think it's those babies are part of Mephisto's soul, and that's how they can. I think it's got something to do with that.
Yeah.
So I don't think that'll stand by Vision's moral code at all. I think he'll have an existential crisis, which he's already having. I think, of like, why am I back here? Like, this should not be happening. Like,
I'm on the boat of Wanda is going through the whole mental breakdown thing, and that's where the hex came from, to make her not a prisoner for herself, but sort of like a safe space, like the hex, where she can kind of live out what she wants to do with her life.
Yeah, and I definitely think there is, like, some outside force. Like, as much as she is in control of most of this world, some outside force has created this to some extent. I think basically my theory at the moment is someone has told her where Vision's body was to get her to snap, basically, because there's no reason that she would know that. Like, no reason she would know where he is. They wouldn't tell her that, you know. Yeah,
maybe it's like again, it might not be him, but I'm just saying a character. Mephisto might be like, yo, Vision is here. I'll tell you where Vision is if you do this, and then I'll let you have your babies, and then we can, like, making a deal with the devil, basically. Something like that. Because I don't think she would necessarily, I don't know if she has all the power. I know she's very powerful, but I don't know if she'd have the power to bring something back from the dead. This is the thing that's getting me. I don't think she has that power, especially someone like Vision, who was like, had the stone in him. Do you know what I mean?
I don't know if this is of any relevance, but in the comics, I think it's Vision and Scarlet Witch comics, the one where they're together, basically, she does resurrect him. So you might actually be onto something.
Yeah, this is something I wrote down, actually. Is like, I think she's experimenting with creating life in some way. Like, I think like, she's kind of trying to find the limits of her powers to some extent. I think she has kind of reanimated Vision. I don't think he's actually alive. I think he's just kind of a construct.
I've got a theory that ties in the whole idea of why they're going through the different decades. I think that, like, each episode's obviously represent a different decade, and I think as they're going through that, like, for example, when it was in black and white, and, like, see when Vision is killed, right? He goes black and white.
That's true, yeah.
Right? He literally goes black and white. So I think the first few episodes she made everything black and white so that everyone in the village wouldn't notice that he was actually dead.
That is
and black and white.
Ooh, that's a good
And then when
idea.
she returns color,
And then
she's added that. Yeah.
yeah, and then it's like the color was unexpected to her. So that's
Yeah.
like, oh, this is like a new thing. And then I think as they're going through the decades, she's Vision is becoming smarter, becoming more alive.
Yeah.
And I think that it will eventually catch up. And I think when it catches up, then Vision will be alive. That's what I think.
Interesting.
Yeah.
theory.
Potentially.
And I-
Or that's what she's trying to do, I think.
Yeah.
Or
And
someone
which-
is trying to do.
Yeah, which like like when the delusion's kind of cracking in that moment. I think it was in the previous episode where you saw like dead Vision basically.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that was episode 4.
Totally.
That's you're suddenly seeing what it actually looks like.
Yeah.
Which is creepy as fuck.
Oh, totally.
I know.
Yes. Also during the meeting, it's mentioned there's this kind of talk of like, does she have no nicknames, aliases or anything like that? And it occurred to me like, yeah, Scarlet Witch has never been said in the MCU. Like,
Yeah,
Neither
totally.
it has.
yeah, she's just always referred to as Wanda Maximoff. That's a thing that we call her because of the comics, but she's never actually been called that.
That's fascinating.
Which is interesting. I wonder if this show is building to her becoming Scarlet Witch in some way. That could be an interesting
Yeah.
thing.
Or does Fox own Scarlet Witch or something? Does
That's
they
a
own that name,
Marvel
maybe?
product. Marvel.
I don't know. I like to some extent she is an X-Men character, so yeah, that is possible. Yeah.
You know what I mean? They might own the name.
Yeah.
We need to go through the rest of the synopsis before we get to theories because we're going off track again.
Yes. Blah, 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 blah.
I've already started
More-
theories.
I know, same.
Yeah, that's fine. Yes, the kids are able to age themselves up, and they do that a couple of times throughout the show. They find a dog, and there's this whole thing of like, like Agnes comes in with a dog bed thing.
Yeah, that comes out of completely nowhere.
Yep.
Yeah, she just knows what's going to happen.
Yeah.
It's like scripted episode.
Yeah. And Wanda kind of does one of her power things in front of her, and Agnes just does not seem to notice. But Vision,
Yeah,
is
Vision
immediately
is
like, what the fuck were you doing?
Vision's pissed. Yeah, it's got like
Yeah.
Wanda's getting more and more carefree about
Yeah.
not giving a
Yeah.
fuck about her powers and just doing what she wants.
Yeah. And that is the moment that really, I think, sends Vision into like
Suspicious.
like
mode.
it made like because he's had suspicions throughout the show so far, but that really kind of sends him into like, okay, something's wrong.
Yeah.
Which is interesting.
Did Big Aggie kill the doggy?
Well, yeah, it's possible.
Interesting fact. The dog's name. Do you remember what it is?
It's like Vision's side character in the comics, isn't it? It's
Yeah.
like Flash or something. or
Sparky.
It's Sparky.
Sparky. Or something.
It
Yeah.
was actually
Yeah.
an android in the Vision comics.
Oh, that's cool. I don't actually know that.
That's a nice wee tidbit.
Yeah. Yes. So, blah, 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 blah. Where am I? Sorry, I'm looking through my notes. There is another creepy scene of a Vision at work.
Yes.
A
yes.
couple creepy things happening in a row. First of all, he's reading an email that mentions like, I can't remember what it's actually worded as now, but like the Maximov experiment or something like that. And
Yeah.
It was a
It's a sword
letter.
email.
Or was it a sword letter?
yeah. It seems to be a sword thing. It's like it's been sent to him by accident, or someone sent him to try and trigger this in him or something. Which is interesting.
Let me
But
find
the-
it because that's interesting. Sword.
Yeah. But the entire office reads it out loud in unison.
And they just
Which is a
laugh.
very, very odd moment.
They just think it's a prank.
Yeah.
But
Which I
then-
guess is another moment of just the illusion slipping a little bit and things going wrong.
But
glitches.
then Vision does something to the guy and he starts freaking out like, oh God, where am I? What's happening? And
Yeah, Vision
he's keeping his
basically turns Wanda's like mask off, and he just the guy becomes himself, and he's like, "What?"
I don't know, he's like,
Yeah,
where
yeah,
am I?
he's-
What's happening?
Yeah, kind of talks about like it hurts and he's talking about his family and things like that.
Yeah, so he's
prison.
so what he says there is he says that what is it he said? He says it hurts and that he feels. Oh, what is it?
remember.
It's like it's basically grief. Feel grief, and so what I think
grief.
is that she's making when she's putting this mask over the whole town. She's putting like the actual person in some weird world of her subconscious because she's obviously grieving over
Yeah.
Vision and all that. So they're all. Do you know what I mean? They're like in this weird,
It does
I
seem
don't know,
like something like
blank
that,
space of grief.
That
like-
only further fuels my theory. This is her mental breakdown world.
Yeah. And interestingly, the thing I picked up on could be nothing. He says she's in my head. He never once says Wanda.
That's a good point.
He always says she, which I think could be leaving it open to being someone else. Like when it's revealed, like who else is involved in this, it could be like that person is doing this. You know,
another female character that isn't Wanda.
Yeah.
Yeah,
totally. That could be nothing. I was just kind of he seemed to emphasize the word she, which kind of set me my brain going.
Yeah, totally. No, you've got to pick up on these weird things.
Yeah.
We're here to
Like
open
there's
up.
a great bit in one of the earlier episodes where somebody says to Agnes, "Oh, is your power out?" And she's like, "Yeah, my power's been out for a long time." And it's like it's like as if she had powers and now she doesn't or something. Do you know what I mean? It was really emphasized. And the same with the devil stuff.
Yeah,
she said a good like 3 or 4 things about the devil, and it's like that's a bit too much to not.
Yeah,
be
there's something about like the devil's in the details, and she goes, "That's not the only place he is." And it's played off as a gag about like she's drinking in that scene, but but yeah, there could definitely be double meaning in that.
Agnes is Mephisto.
Oh yeah, maybe.
I mean, I still kind of think. Well, up until this episode, I thought Agnes was going to be revealed to be the bad guy. I'm now not so sure.
I think she's an assistant.
Yeah.
A gateway, a halfway house. Somebody that's working for Mephisto that's maybe keeping an eye on Wanda.
That makes sense.
She definitely knows more than the other townspeople, for sure.
Yeah.
And then we get the revelation about the costume as mentioned earlier, and they realize that they can send something in as long as it is time period appropriate.
Yep.
Yeah.
So they send in a drone, which I gotta admit does not look time period appropriate, but apparently it was an 80s drone.
It's an 80s drone. Yeah.
It looks really similar.
Yeah. And there's all this interesting stuff about like they're watching it on the broadcast, and they're saying that Wanda's framing it out of shot, she's literally controlling what the camera sees.
Yeah, totally.
I love that,
which is so cool. Which leads to Wanda. The Director Hayward's very quickly is like take the shot, like not as professional as a sword agent should be, which is part of me thinking like he's been sent there to kill her specifically for some reason.
Yeah, 100%. Yeah, he didn't even consider it. He just went take the shot.
Like no hesitation. Which leads to Wanda for the first time leaving Westview to come out and make the sword agents absolutely shit themselves.
Brilliant.
Like,
it's
fuck.
Yeah, great scene, and like then when she kind of makes all the soldiers point the guns at Director Hayward. Yeah, awesome.
And our wee Russian accent comes back as well.
It does a little bit. Yeah, it's subtle, but it's which is
I like
cool.
that. I like that because obviously she's got her full on American actress accent when she's in the sitcom.
American sweetheart accent.
Yeah.
Which is actually something she's been criticised over, is how quickly she dropped the accent
changed
in the movies. But
that's right, yeah.
But it doesn't bother me too much. And yeah, it's cool kind of hearing it come back in occasionally when she said Pietro in the last episode.
Yeah.
Only seems to come out when she's angry as well.
Yeah, angry or sad sometimes, and which is true. Like that is kind of how that works. If you lose your natural accent, it does sometimes come out when you're
totally,
emotional.
100%. Yeah.
God, a lot happens in this episode.
I know.
She goes back in. I love the CRT effect on the force field wall. By the way, that's just a really nice detail, kind of like the old TV effect.
Another thing is that have you noticed in this episode in particular, there's like a red hue over everything. Like it's really quite prominent. It's becoming more prominent, which is interesting.
Yep.
Ooh.
We get the ad for the episode, which is for a cleaning product called Lagos, which I don't know if you remember.
I don't know. I didn't know what that was.
It's the name of the city they're in when Wanda accidentally kills a bunch of
so it is.
Wakanda sort of delegates. And
that's in
Civil War. It's right at the start of Civil War.
That's
yeah.
right.
Right. Okay.
Yeah.
I never remember.
That's the name of the city. And the tagline for the ad is "For when you make a mess you didn't mean to."
Oh my god!
Damn,
that's so bad.
So it definitely seems to be linked to her kind of traumas in her life and like things she regrets. which is really cool. I love the ads; they're really cool, and I love the fact that it's the same two actors appearing in each one, which is the theory that that's her parents.
Potentially.
Yes. I've got a few notes. Hold on.
We forgot about the dog subplot.
Well, that's next. The dog dies, and the kids immediately want to kind of age themselves up to get away from the grief. And she has this speech about like the urge to run from the feeling, and like you have to feel this, which is interesting because it's
very hypocritical.
Yeah, it's very much the speech that somebody should be giving to her.
Yeah, totally.
Absolutely.
Yeah. And then that leads to a confrontation between Vision and Wanda, where Vision is fully, just
So
amazing
good.
scene.
So
Bob
like
Ennie is excellent.
So they start having an argument because Vision brings up the problem at work and like what was going on with all that, and he's kind of tapped into what she's doing now for the first time.
Wanda's really dismissing him over it as well.
And she just tries to dismiss him, tries to roll the credits and everything.
That
was so good.
That was a hell of a fourth wall
Vision's
break.
just like, nah, we are talking about this. And she's
Christ.
One of the most chilling moments of the episode is Vision says, "You can't control me the way you do them," and she just goes, "Can't I?" And then rolls the credits. And
totally.
Here's an interesting thing about
there's even this like burr, 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 burr,
I know.
music starts playing and like
It's brilliant.
I think this is right. See if you see in the time of the actual episode where the credits appear. I'm pretty sure that's like the length of one of the first episodes. It's like the 20-minute mark or something, 20, 30-minute mark.
that would be cool. Yeah,
I'm going to go back and check that.
I'd have to look, but yeah, that would be quite a nice touch if that's true.
Yeah.
There's a whole stuff like he says like I have to assume this was a subconscious thing at first, and you only recently became aware of it, and she does not confirm or deny that, so that is still a possibility.
Yeah.
Do you really think I'm controlling everything? I don't know how this started. Which again leads me into like I think she's inhabited this. I think it's almost like the Inception, like your mind inhabits the dream thing.
Yeah.
Okay.
I think that's happened to some extent with her, but someone else created this.
Yeah.
Which would explain, by the way, why it seems like this place is being contained by a force field that doesn't like. It seems like it's like from the outside being contained rather.
Yeah.
That makes sense.
And then just to finish off the synopsis at the 32-minute mark, there's a knock on the door, and the door opens, and
Mental.
the most insane thing to happen in the MCU just suddenly happens, which is her brother appears.
Yeah.
But it's not her brother.
No,
it's not Pietro.
it's Evan Peters.
Peter.
It's Evan
It's
Peters.
Evan Peters. It's Evan Peters playing Peter.
Yeah. Peter Maximoff.
Who is, if you are unaware, which I assume you're not because you're a big nerd like us, is Quicksilver from the X-Men movie universe. A different version of the same character.
Evan Peters, yeah.
Yeah. Which we mentioned in the last episode, but that was a proper like, I really don't think they'll do that kind of thing.
Yeah.
You know?
There's also an interesting thing is that it's not just like a recast in the fact that this is still meant to be Pietro, because I was watching a thing, and if you put the subtitles on, it says, and now it is Pietro, but not Pietro that you know it is Peter from the X-Men franchise. So it's like, do you know what I mean? It is that character in this universe.
So interestingly, sorry, I'll get to you in a sec, Sean.
Yeah.
I just want to mention something on
my
that.
point. Don't worry.
That's fine. Interestingly, in the credits at the end, he's credited as Pietro, which is interesting because that's not that character's name. It's a different name.
Let me check some.
And the other interesting thing about that makes you kind of go like, is it that character? His accent is different. He's got like a New Jersey thing going on.
Yeah.
Well, I think that's because of I think that's because he's inhabiting the sitcom.
Yeah, possibly. Yeah,
I think that's what that is. It's kind of like the whole Fonz thing. Like, I think it's deliberate because it's 80s. I think it might even change in the next episode.
Yeah, which makes me wonder, like, is she, like she needs her brother right now, so she's kind of summoned him there, but she can't. Okay. So sorry, I'm putting off your point, Sean, but I've got a lot of thoughts coming out right now.
That's fine. That's fine. I'll get to
my thing about like my thing about earlier about like, just experimenting with bringing life.
Yeah.
And we don't think that she can literally resurrect someone.
Yeah.
But that's what she wants to do. So she wants to bring back her brother, and this world manifests that as an alternate version of her brother that's still alive.
Yeah.
which makes me think that is just one of the townspeople that is being made to look like.
Well, this is the thing.
Ooh.
This is the thing. You can't. Nothing enters the hex without Wanda finding out about it.
Mm-hmm.
Right? Which means that whoever that is has been there right from the first episodes. Like just living in the town.
Which, so like, was there just a guy living in this town that happened to look like Evan Peters?
Yeah.
And-
or was he directly manifested in? Or, yeah.
Yeah. Part of me thinks it's just that there was someone there that happened to look Evan Peters, and then it just kind of went like, okay, you can be her brother, but you look different. And the fact that it's the guy who plays Quicksilver in X-Men is more a joke for us. Like maybe that's
I don't think
within
it's a
show,
joke.
but
I don't think it's a joke.
Possibly.
I think it's the first stem from them introducing X-Men.
So my
What do you think,
point
Sean?
actually comes up to that. So, if I remember rightly, there is a comic storyline where Scarlet Witch does create mutants. So they might be taking elements of that because they seem to have done that for a few different bits and pieces for this series, where they've kind of like the children, the hex and stuff like that from the comics. So it would make sense if they brought that in as well, and that's how they're introducing the Fox X-Men into the story.
Yeah,
And she's actually just physically created this Quicksilver and like brought, maybe it's a dimensional thing, like the multiverse theory. They could have just brought them in from another multiverse, which would tie
that's the
in
thing.
directly to Doctor Strange, which they have said it does do.
Well, yeah, because Wanda's going to be in Doctor Strange, so the multiverse.
yeah.
So
They have said that it does tie directly
something's
to the
happening.
series.
Something's happening leading into that.
Same with the Spider-Verse as well.
Yeah, I'm still going back and forth on, is this literally Peter from the X-Men movies brought across, or is it?
I think it is.
Because like,
Because
the thing that's made me think that is, you think about J. Jonah Jameson at the very end of Far From Home, he turns up. Well, he turns up and he's played by, I fucking forgotten his name after he's one of my favorite actors. What the fuck?
I know
J.K.
what you're
Simmons.
talking about.
J.K. Simmons.
Yeah.
He turns up and he's playing J. Jonah Jameson again. However, it's not quite the same character. It's this kind of Alex Jones WikiLeaks kind of version of that character.
Alternate universe character.
Yeah.
It's not the
where
same
the
guy.
multiverse theory ties in as well. Because what if
Yeah.
I've got a quick theory, and I'll let you jump back in. What if the events of WandaVision are happening at the same time as a wee bit at the end of Far From Home? Is it Far From Home that's in? Is that right?
Yes. Yeah. Right. The post credits of Far From Home.
Well,
What if that's happening at the same time and she's literally crushing different dimensions together?
yeah.
And that
Well, you were
happens to be
saying
one
you're
of the
saying
side effects.
that J. Jonah Jameson character isn't, the same character, but it could be though, just like in the future, and that's how he's adapted to
It basically
the
is the
modern
same
world with
character.
social media and all that. I think it might just be the same character, just like 10, 15
maybe.
years later. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, it could well be. That would open up the question of how did he get here of all people? You know, because like,
Well, that's where
which
my
I
theory
feel like
ties
we're gonna
in.
get. Yeah. I feel like we're gonna get more answers to that in wherever the next Spider-Man movie is, with all the Spider-Men coming. But,
Which is what we think.
I don't know if that'll be shit or not.
We don't know if that's what's going to happen, though.
It might be absolutely terrible. Though. That's the thing.
Although, have you seen who's signed on for that?
Oh, everybody!
Literally
It's insane.
everyone from the first two Tobey Maguire movies and the Andrew Garfield ones.
See, what I'm
Crazy.
thinking is it might just be too much for the general public to understand, though. They're like, why are all these... Do you know what I mean? It might just be
It's
like...
going to be a lot to take in, especially if you don't read the comics or have any understanding about how the multiverse theory works.
Yeah.
I think at this point they're starting to go like, you know what? The only people that are still watching this are the people that are invested enough to give a shit, and if you don't, well, tough. Like we're going to tell the story we want to tell. If you can't keep up, that's on you. You know?
Yeah, totally.
Fuck you, we're Disney now.
Yeah.
One quick question, actually.
Yeah.
Does anybody remember what happens to Quicksilver in the X-Men movies? Because I can't remember what happens to him at the end.
Dark Phoenix is pretty shit, so no, I can't really remember what's happening with him.
I watched half of that movie and then I stopped.
Yeah, it's not great. It's not as bad as Apocalypse, to be fair, which is awful. But
Yeah, it's not good.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's not good. The last good one was Days of Future Past.
that is pretty good. Yeah, I don't love that movie, but it's pretty.
It's still a good X-Men movie, though.
Yeah,
Do you know what I
absolutely.
mean?
Yeah,
Like,
yeah.
it's...
Yeah, and it probably captures the kind of vibe of the X-Men comics better than most of them as well, which is
Yeah.
cool. And
It's got Peter Dinklage in it.
Yeah, and he's great.
Peter Dinklage, Peter.
I always find those movies so funny. Like every one of them, like I was watching when I saw Dark Phoenix in the cinema. Every time Michael Fassbender appears on screen as Magneto, I just kept thinking, these movies don't deserve you. Every time you appear on screen, you make this like 30% better. Like you are so good as this character.
I know, totally.
But you're just in a shit movie. It's such a shame, you know?
I know, it's like in Dark Phoenix when he's like hanging about with some fucking hipster fucks in like log cabins, like in a field, and that's like where they're like hanging out. It's just a bit weird. It's like, why? It's like it's like it's an open space anyone could get. Like you'd hide somewhere, wouldn't you? Like it's a bit. Do you know what I mean? It just seems a bit too casual. They're like kind of a bit like lumberjacks, like weird hipster, like mutant lumberjacks, like in their wee log cabins. It's like what?
Yeah, but this is kind of my point though, is that he's given this shit material to work with, and he just like, right, fuck it, and just sells it and just makes
I know.
It, you know, like
it's Michael Fassbender. Come on,
he's a god.
Yes.
Anyway, the whole thing with Quicksilver. If I could remember what happened to him, I might be able to tie something together, but I can't remember what happens to him at the end.
As far as I know, he's just still kicking about, and not much has changed with him, I think.
Yeah, he doesn't die in it. So.
So
no.
My overarching theory for the whole Marvel universe, where it's going, is the multiverse theory with the whole Spider-Verse thing and J. Jonah Jameson. I think Wanda might accidentally be crushing them together, and I really want to get on that theory. She's literally crushing universes together.
Yeah, like it's her fault. That's all.
Yeah.
That's a big fuck up. Like
she fucked
that's
up. That's
not good. Like
I would love that as a theory. Because Scarlet Witch is a really good character. She's a bit overpowered, but she's a great character.
Yeah. I like she is like she is overpowered to some extent, but I love the fact that her powers are not that well defined.
Yeah.
Like she's like in the first movie she's in, Age of Ultron, her and her brother are described as like he's fast and she's weird. Yeah, and I love that she's never really moved on from that. She's just still weird, you know.
She's just a weirdo.
I know. Yeah, I mean the first few movies, all she's kind of done is kind of glitter about red smoke at people.
Yeah.
Throw red orbs at folk.
Yeah, she does kind of build up as it goes.
Yeah.
I just wanted to say as well, Elizabeth Olsen is so fucking good in this part.
She's amazing. Yeah.
This show in particular, she's selling this so well. Those are those moments where she switches to the really
she's
dark
brilliant.
side.
Brilliant. Yeah.
She's a phenomenal actor.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Her and Vision.
We love you, Elizabeth.
Yeah. Yes. And I feel like she's an actor that has never really gotten the chance to really show her chops.
Totally.
You know,
Same with Paul Bettany, I think. No.
Paul Bettany's done. Yeah, Paul Bettany at least has done a lot of kind of weirder parts and stuff, but you know.
Yeah, but I've just been in the MCU's two kind of underused characters that are getting a good show, so it's good.
After Ultron, he did nothing.
Yeah.
And I felt really bad for it because Vision's actually a really important character in that whole saga as well.
Yeah. I guess they're just trying to avoid the problem of him just being ridiculously powerful. And
I mean, let's face it, people go to Avengers and they want to see Iron Man. Do you know what I mean? That's what For that saga anyway, they need to focus on the characters that people were most attached with and had the most like span over loads of movies.
Yeah, that makes sense. I was gonna make a quick point actually. I was looking up stuff to talk about on IMDb, and this came up. The whole sitcom thing is very reminiscent of Full House, where Mary-Kate and Ashley Olsen, that's where they starred.
That is true. Yeah. Not Elizabeth, but her two sisters are in that show. That is true.
And I thought that was a really weird, interesting fact.
Yeah.
What else happened? What other theories do we have? Have we got anything else?
This episode opens up so many questions.
Answers none.
There's even little things like Monica Rambeau mentions at one point, I know a good aerospace engineer that can help us. Is she talking about Captain Marvel, or is this some other character that we're not aware
also
of?
where's Howard? Who's Howard?
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 Agnes's husband.
Howard the Duck.
Ralph.
Ralph.
It was a similar name, was it not? Is that Howard not like the same name as Ralph, really?
It's Howard Stark.
I mean,
Confirmed.
Ralph could be short for Howard, let's face it. Could it not? It's that kind of weirdo American name that only they give each other, do you know what I mean?
Yeah, you heard it here first, folks. Ralph is short for Howard.
SRMC confirmed.
Whatever.
Right.
Howard the Duck. There you go.
So she always makes such a big deal about her husband. Almost every
Yeah.
time she's on the screen, she's saying something about him or slagging him or something, and you've never seen him. So
Which, on one hand, is just a classic sitcom trope of like an absent husband, and there's always these jokes about like, you know, kind of sleazy jokes. And
but
things like that.
this whole thing has started with a missing person, though.
It has, and
We
I
don't know
wondered
who
as
that
well, like, you know, the way that Agnes is kind of hanging around Wanda, like, has her husband died, and she's trying to go, like, can this person help me? And like, there's a moment in this when
Yeah, because she was like, because when Wanda said that she, basically when the kids say like, you can bring things back to life, bring the dog back, and Agnes is like, you can bring things back to life. And she's like, kind of gets really serious for a second.
Yeah.
But it kind of passes by. So I'm like, you might be onto something there.
Yeah.
Next episode is just like Agnes at a grave, like digging out the core.
Fucking Pet Cemetery style.
We know from one of the earliest trailers that there is a Halloween episode coming up.
Oh, yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Where she seems to be dressed as a witch, which is interesting.
She's dressed as,
So she is
Yes.
dressed like a witch. Ooh.
Interesting thing I wanted to bring up. This episode, they've stopped doing the aspect ratio thing. Because this is an 80s sitcom they're doing. It should still be in 4:3, but it's now widescreen. In fact, it's full screen. When it goes to the sword sections, the bars appear at the top and bottom. But like,
it'll be something to do with storytelling.
I'm more wondering, is this just part of the illusion falling apart?
Probably.
Could be.
But that's
It's
a really
slowly-
interesting, subtle touch to do that. Like,
It'd probably be quite weird as well going from the normal scenes to that. Maybe it was just in the edit. Maybe they did it in the edit and it just looked a bit jarring or something.
yeah, maybe.
Maybe.
That's possible.
Ooh. We have lots of theories.
What else have we got here? I think my favorite character is Detective Jimmy Woo, who's
he's
the
great.
nicest man in the world. I love.
He just genuinely wants to help.
There's this great shot of him, like he kind of cuts back to the sword crew, and it's him like he's like in front of the camera, he's walking, and he's on like a kind of mission walk, and there's dramatic music playing, and it cuts to in front of him, and he's just bringing coffees, and he's got this massive grin on his face.
He's so happy. I love him.
So good, so good.
He's a great character.
Yeah.
It's amazing.
I think, is that all our theories wrapped up? We got anything else you want to add?
What else have I got here? Hold on. Blah, 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 blah. Vision's 80s hair is awful.
We've already went through that. We know it's awful.
Yeah. So I don't know. Just like this, just like I was never a believer in they're going to bring across the X-Men cast.
I don't think it was
just
gonna
because
be the X-Men ones from Fox, at least.
Yeah, because like those movies have ended on kind of a sour note for people, where the last few have been pretty terrible, with the exception of Logan. And I don't know. I thought a hard reset was on the cards, but now I'm not so sure.
Nah, I don't. It definitely isn't. They've made a. Well, obviously it's now their property, so they're going. Hang on, all these characters have been built up for so many years. People are invested in those actors playing those characters. Why would we throw that all away? Because I mean, reset
also still be on the
movies
contract as well.
recently have gone to shit. They've not had a good. They've not had a good. So if I think for them, they were probably like, right, if there's any way that we can tie this in and get these characters back in, we'll do that over a hard reset. So they probably
It could also be on the contract as well.
yeah.
That is true. I actually think there's a good chance they'll do both. Where like because I don't think this multiverse stuff is going to be constant. Like I think it would become a bit much if every movie characters are crossing over and things like that.
I'll have elements.
So I think like the Fox X-Men cast are going to be kind of recurring characters that pop up every so often.
Okay.
But the MCU is going to get its own X-Men at some point.
Yeah, like Deadpool and stuff could pop up and do
Yeah,
funny things.
totally.
I love that. I don't know
Yeah,
how
It's gonna happen. It's gonna happen.
because
Yeah.
Deadpool is exclusively an R-rated superhero.
Yeah.
I'd love to see how that plays out.
I really want them to up the age actually now at this point.
I would quite like a more mature rating. Yeah.
Yeah, because it never feels like they're limited by that, but I also would like to see what they do with that if they have that freedom. you know?
Imagine like,
Like
a
an
fucking-
18, like
Yeah.
an 18 Deadpool.
Oh,
Yeah, like just popping up in the MCU, you know, like it could be a lot of fun.
I mean,
like
imagine something like a horror X-Men thing that's like an 18 rated horror aspect thing.
yeah.
That would
And
be
they're talking
so
about Doctor
cool.
Strange being 18 rated and it's directed by Sam Raimi, who did the Evil Dead movies, which is going to be a blast.
That would be incredible.
Yeah.
Yeah, totally.
Um,
Aye, awesome.
I think that is the main things covered. Like I feel like this is an
covered
episode
most
we could
things.
talk about for hours if we wanted to.
Totally,
but I
totally.
think
We should
we've
limit
covered the main
ourselves a bit.
points.
Aye.
One last
My God.
question.
Yes.
Any predictions for the next episode?
Ooh,
Ooh.
interesting.
Well, there's definitely going to be some tension between Vision and Wanda for the rest of the show now.
Yeah.
I don't think he'll want to be with Wanda anymore.
Yeah, I think the next episode might focus on that a bit more and like watch them kind of not in a depressing way, but like break apart.
I think he'll
Yeah.
honestly be like, how were these kids made? I am a synthezoid. I cannot make love.
Wanda hen.
What are these? Do you know what I mean?
Seen
though?
the postman?
Yeah.
Because they are not his kids.
You seen the
No,
milkman,
no.
Number one,
Wanda?
they don't have they don't have any of his goodness. They're fucking weird. They're, you know what I mean? Like, I don't know. They just don't seem nice. They seem a bit weird.
A bit
off.
There's something no right.
Yeah. Yeah.
You might be right.
Yes. I don't know. Yeah, it's a good question. I there is a small part of me that thinks that the Peter thing to some extent is going to be a misdirect. I'm not sure about this, but like the fact that he's introduced that late in the episode, they don't mention his name. Like there is a possibility this next episode is going to come around and it's totally not what we thought it was. You know,
Yeah,
like,
no, totally,
they're
100%. 100%.
They're like they could just be playing into
Publicity.
but also just like the audience will go nuts when this happens, but
Yeah.
it's going to be a different thing, you know.
Yeah.
I
No,
get
you're
you.
totally right. Not everything isn't what it seems.
Like a red herring type thing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But what I've just really discovered with this show so far is that like theories are almost pointless because
I know.
the most insane theory you can think of is going to happen, and the kind of everything else is just like you're way off, you know.
Yeah, totally.
You're either really right about something weird or you're completely wrong.
Yeah.
That makes perfect sense.
So yes, this short chat on one episode of WandaVision has gone on for almost an hour.
Chat.
Yeah. So
Awesome.
I hope you're enjoying WandaVision at home.
Yes.
If you are, please get in touch with us. You can get in touch with us at our email, which is saltrivermovieclub@gmail.com. You can get in touch on our Facebook, which is just Salt River Pictures, or on our Instagram, which is Salt River Pictures Official. We're doing a lot of stuff over there. You can also subscribe to our YouTube channel, which is also Salt River Pictures, where all of our episodes go up on there. If you want to sort of more universal way to listen to the podcast, that they are all up there, along with the other projects we do, like our music videos and things like that. So please subscribe to that and share it around with your friends.
Please do.
Call us out,
Yes.
roast us, do whatever you feel like.
We will be back next week with another episode of this, and then after that, I believe the Godzilla episode is coming.
That was a fun ride.
Good luck, fellas.
If I'm getting the schedule that's right, it's getting a little bit confusing now, but that should be right. Gotcha. What else have we got to say? Please like us, share us, all that stuff. Subscribe on whatever podcast service we use. We are available on all major ones: Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Amazon, I think Google,
And the one you're listening to on right now.
whichever one you're listening to, we're there. Podbean.
Aye.
And Yeah, no one's listening to Podbean. If you're listening to Podbean, please let us know. I'm genuinely interested.
I'm curious.
How did your life go this wrong?
The one reject using Podbean.
Oh,
We love you, whoever you are, but that's
do.
weird.
that's so weird.
Download Spotify.
Thank you to Alec for our theme tune. That's a thing I'm going to try and keep doing because I feel like we should credit that to some extent.
That's class.
I don't have a quote to end on, which is a thing I usually do. Shit.
Let's think. Something that Vision says.
A few things written down.
What?
You're tearing me apart, Wanda.
What is it they all recite in the office?
It's a long email. I can't remember.
That would be commitment.
Let's do that. Hold on. Let's find that.
Let's find that. That would be brilliant.
Oh my god!
I'm gonna find it.
Bear with us, pod. You can just turn off. You can skip
can
to your
leave
next
now.
podcast if you want. We're just going to find this and then read it out.
All in
Assuming
unison
that
as
someone
well.
has written it down on the internet.
Of course they have. Of course they have.
Quotes. Here we go. I will
I
find
have
this.
an
It's
alternate
gotta be here.
option. I have a different option if we want to just stop.
Yeah, there's nothing
Go on.
here.
Okay, very
Okay. Cool. Thank you for listening. We will see you very, very soon. Lagos, for when you make a mess and you didn't mean to.
Perfect.
Hello there.
I don't remember asking you a goddamn thing.
Stay on target.
This podcast is brought to you by Salt River Pictures.